Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to be doing a build and mechanics overview guide for Rosaria. You'll find that I explain some of the finer details about her kit and go over some basic artifact and weapon sets to use for her in order to get you started. Future videos, I'm going to be going more in depth and doing some calculations to figure out which of those sets are actually better. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you know when those videos drop. So let's jump right into it. First off, her normal and charge attacks. This is a pretty run-of-the-mill normal and charge attack set. It's a 5-hit combo with 2 double hits in there. The scaling is pretty low and her attack speed is slower than most other polearm users. Her charge attack, however, is one of the highest scaling charge attacks among the polearm users, even among 5 stars, but it does have quite a little bit of startup to it, so it's not very fast like Hu Tao's or Zhao's. Her E skill moves behind the enemy and strikes the enemy twice. This skill is directly tied to her passive skill, so you'll definitely want to make sure that you do strike enemies from behind. This skill will not work against larger enemies, such as Ruin Guards. The skill also has a small super armor effect, allowing her to plow through some attacks, but not all of them, probably depending on the strength of the attack. You saw that against the Ruin Guard's jumping attack, I was unable to super armor through it, but against this Minotaur's axe attacks, I'm able to plow right through it and still damage him with my E skill. I do, however, take damage in the process. There is also a small window of invincibility for the skill, but it's neither at the beginning nor the end. It's a little bit somewhere in the middle. You can see that in the clip I am able to iframe the Ruin Guard's stomp attack and his clapping attack. The timing, however, is very tight, so getting this consistently is going to be very hard. Her elemental burst deals periodic cryo damage, similar to Kaya, except that it doesn't follow you around. It stays within a static position, so you'll need to be aware of your positioning to make full use of it. It's got higher scaling than Kaya's, but it doesn't hit the enemy as often as Kaya's burst does. It's also going to do 4 bursts of cryo damage before going away at C0, so that means 1 wave every 2 seconds. We can safely assume that at C2 with 4 seconds extra, it's going to do 6 waves of cryo damage. Now let's go into her passives. The first passive increases her crit rate by 12% for 5 seconds when she uses her E skill to hit an enemy from behind. So with a 6-second cooldown on her skill, there's going to be 1 second in between where you don't have that crit rate buff. Depending on the role that you're playing her in, that's not actually going to be a huge deal. So ideally, you want to start your combos with your E skill to carry that crit rate boost throughout your combos. This obviously is going to be matchup dependent, so on large enemies like Ruin Guards, you won't be able to rely on the ability's teleportation to get the buff. You'll have to manually try to get to the back of them. The second passive is a support passive and will give the party extra crit rate when she uses her elemental burst. She needs to have a lot of crit rate in order to maximize this effect. In order to get the full 15% bonus, you do need 100% crit rate. So here is a simple chart to show you guys how much crit rate you're going to give your teammates depending on how much crit rate your Rosaria has. Alright, now let's jump into her energy generation. She is going to generate 2 to 3 particles. More often she's going to generate 3. However, she is only going to generate particles if your second hit connects with an enemy. If you kill an enemy with the first hit and the second hit doesn't connect, then you aren't going to generate any particles. I have no idea if this is actually intended, but you should know that this is how that works. So next, very quickly, is Rosaria's frame data. I measured the frame data for Rosaria's full 5-hit string and her charged attacks. What I discovered is that her full 5-hit combo takes about 230 frames to complete. This is about 3.8 seconds of commitment for the full string. Her charge attack is about 101 frames if you jump cancel it, and it's going to be longer if you don't. So that's about 1.7 seconds of commitment, and do note that in order to do a charge attack, you must do at least 1 normal attack first. So those frames include the first hit of Rosaria's normal attack. Alright, now let's jump into potential builds that you can build Rosaria for. Currently, I can think of 3 ways that you should build your Rosaria. The first one is a physical DPS, the second is a cryo DPS, and the third is a crit rate support or sub-DPS. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an artifact set and a weapon for each specific build. These builds are just to get you started. Again, I am going to be doing a more in-depth analysis down the road. We'll dive deeper into how each set compares to one another. So again, if you're interested in that, please subscribe and hit that bell so that you know when that video drops. So let's get started with the first build, the physical DPS build. Your artifact set that you definitely want to be running here is a 2-piece gladiator with a 2-piece bloodstained, along with a crescent pike as the weapon. 2-piece gladiator and 2-piece bloodstained is going to give you 18% extra attack bonus and 25% damage bonus for your physical attacks. Crescent pike is a free 4-star weapon with one of the highest base attacks out of 4-star weapons and a 34.5% extra physical damage bonus. Now, a case can be made for the Dragon Spine Spear, but most players probably already have a Crescent Pike, so it's not going to require any more resources. If you absolutely have no other options, a White Tassel also has a spot here because of the normal attack boost and the extra crit rate to help support your team. So if you have absolutely nothing else, or if your crit rate is seriously lacking, then you can consider this weapon. As for 5-star options, the Jade Spear and the Staff of Homa are really good, but I would recommend the Jade Spear because it synergizes with her kit much more than Staff of Homa. There's nothing in Rosaria's kit that allows her to control her HP so that you can manage being below 50%. The next is a Cryo DPS set. For this set, I would highly recommend the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer or a 2-piece Blizzard Strayer with 2-piece Gladiator. And a Cryo DPS is really only viable if you have a Chongyun to pair with your Rosaria. Without him, it's not going to be worth it because your cryo damage doesn't occur as often as your physical damage. As for weapon choices here, Blackcliff Pole, Lithic Spear, and Deathmatch are going to be your go-to options. The preferred being Blackcliff because the 4-piece Blizzard set will handle the crit rate for you. The Lithic Spear is also very good even if you can only reach 3 stacks with 3 Liwa characters. The more refinement obviously is even better because it's going to take care of that crit rate for you. 5-star options are again the same as before, with the preferred being the Jade Spear because it synergizes well with her kit and playstyle. And then her last build is a crit rate support or sub-DPS. When it comes to playing Rosaria as a sub-DPS, you want to focus on the damage she can do with her elemental burst and elemental skill. The 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set will not transfer that extra crit rate to your teammates, so it's all based on the crit rate that is shown on the character details screen. So basically, don't use a 4-piece Blizzard set if you're going for a sub-DPS or support Rosaria. One of your main goals is to get a decent enough crit rate to capitalize on her passive to transfer that to your party. Your other goal is also to enhance her burst damage as much as possible. So this means your best artifact set is going to be the 2-piece Blizzard set for extra cryo damage, along with a cryo goblet, and then the 2-piece Noblesse Oblige for 20% damage on your elemental bursts. As for weapons, the Deathmatch is going to be good because of the extra crit rate. I would not use a Blackcliff Pole because you aren't going to be getting any stacks from it, so no attack bonus and also no crit rate. And so out of the rest of the 4 stars, the only ones left are the Favonius Lance and the Lithic Spear. Both are decent options, but in my opinion, the Deathmatch is going to be the superior choice. And of course, if you have a 5-star weapon laying around that you're not using on another character, which of course I kind of highly doubt, but then of course you should just use that instead. Probably doesn't even need to be said. But lastly, there is a case to be made for the Dragon's Bane if you want to run her as a mount burst support, which arguably this might actually be her best sub-DPS role. This is because her skills are very easily mountable. Her skills do not have an internal cooldown on elemental reactions, so it's entirely possible to mount all 4 hits of her E-skill and burst with some proper pyro setup. It's going to be a little bit different for each character, but it's certainly possible, so keep that in mind. So remember guys, I've got more specific and in-depth videos coming out soon for Rosaria, so keep your eye out for them. I'm going to be doing a video that compares her physical build to her cryo build to figure out how both of them stack up to each other. So be prepared for that. Thanks guys, if you made it this far in the video, and if this video helped you at all, or if you just want to be a homie, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. See ya.